What if I told you the entire global economy, trillions of dollars, oil, food, technology, flows through just a handful of narrow passages? And if even one of them shuts down, the world doesn't slow down, it panics. Picture the world not as countries on a map, but as a network of invisible highways. Ships carry 90% of global trade across oceans, but here's the catch. These massive routes all squeeze through tiny choke points, narrow straits, man-made canals, thin corridors of water that act like gates controlling the lifeblood of our civilization. These are not just waterways, they are pressure points, power switches, and in times of conflict, they become weapons. Today, we're going on a journey across the planet to uncover the 14 narrow routes that quietly control the entire world economy. 1. The Strait of Hormuz, the world's oil valve. Our journey begins in the Middle East, a thin stretch of water, barely 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Yet every single day, nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through here. Think of it as a giant faucet. If it turns off, the world runs dry. Tensions here are constant. Warships patrol these waters, political conflicts hover like a storm. And if this strait closes, even for a few days, oil prices don't just rise, they explode. This is not just a route, it's a ticking global pressure point. 2. The Strait of Malacca, Asia's beating heart. Now we move east, between Malaysia and Indonesia, the Strait of Malacca. This is one of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth. Over 100,000 ships pass through each year. Oil from the Middle East flows to China, Japan, and South Korea. Imagine a highway where traffic never stops, day or night, storm or calm. But here's the problem. It's narrow, shallow, and vulnerable to piracy. One disruption, and Asia's entire economy feels the shock. 3. The Suez Canal, a shortcut that changed history. Next, we arrive in Egypt, a man-made miracle, the Suez Canal. Before this canal existed, ships had to travel all the way around Africa. Thousands of extra miles, weeks of delay. Then came this narrow passage, cutting straight through the desert, connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. And suddenly, global trade transformed overnight. But we saw its fragility in 2021, when a single ship got stuck and blocked the entire canal. One ship, 6 days, billions lost. That's how powerful a narrow route can be. 4. The Panama Canal, America's trade shortcut. Now we cross the world to Central America. The Panama Canal connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, a gateway for ships moving between east and west. Without it, ships would have to sail around South America, a dangerous, time-consuming journey. But here's the twist. The canal depends on fresh water from nearby lakes. Climate change is lowering water levels, which means fewer ships, slower trade, rising costs. Even nature can choke the system. 5. The Bab el-Mandeb, the Gate of Tears. Its name literally means Gate of Tears. Located between Yemen and Djibouti, this strait connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. Oil tankers pass through it on their way to Europe, but conflict surrounds it. War in Yemen, piracy threats, military tensions. If this gate closes, the Suez Canal becomes useless, and global shipping takes a massive hit. 6. The Bosphorus Strait, where continents collide. In Turkey, a narrow waterway divides Europe and Asia. The Bosphorus Strait is not just strategic, it's symbolic. Oil from Russia passes through here to reach global markets. But it's also incredibly tight. Sharp turns, heavy traffic, dense urban surroundings. One accident here could paralyze regional trade instantly. 7. The Strait of Gibraltar, the door to the Mediterranean. At the edge of Europe and Africa lies Gibraltar, a gateway between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Everything entering or leaving southern Europe must pass through this corridor. It's wide compared to others, but still a bottleneck. Control this door, and you influence an entire region's economy. 8. The Danish Straits, Europe's hidden choke point. Less talked about, but incredibly important. These narrow waters connect the Baltic Sea to the North Sea. Countries like Sweden, Finland, and the Baltic states depend on them. 9. The Strait of Taiwan, a modern flashpoint. Now we step into one of the most tense regions on Earth, the Strait of Taiwan. This is where geopolitics meets global technology. Why? Because Taiwan produces the majority of the world's advanced semiconductors, the chips that power your phone, your car, even military systems. Any conflict here doesn't just affect Asia, it disrupts the entire digital world. 10. The Cape of Good Hope, the long way around. Not narrow, but essential when choke points fail. When the Suez Canal is blocked, ships reroute around South Africa, but this adds weeks to travel time. Costs rise, delays increase, supply chains stretch. It's the backup route, but it comes with a heavy price. 11. The English Channel, Europe's trade artery. Between the UK and France lies one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, the English Channel. Hundreds of ships cross it daily. Any disruption here echoes across Europe. 12. The Turkish Straits System, dual control points. The Bosphorus isn't alone. It connects to the Dardanelles, forming a system that controls access to the Black Sea. Countries like Ukraine and Russia depend on these routes for exports. Walk them, and economies choke. 13. The Mozambique Channel, Africa's emerging route. Between Madagascar and mainland Africa lies a growing trade route. Oil and gas shipments are increasing here. It's becoming more important every year. 14. The Bering Strait, the future frontier. At the top of the world, between Russia and Alaska, lies the Bering Strait. Right now it's not heavily used, but as Arctic ice melts, new shipping routes are opening. Now step back and look at the bigger picture. 14 narrow routes, each one a gateway, each one a vulnerability.